After another Cold War with my childhood sweetheart, I didn't go to comfort him. Friends came to persuade me. He's just being awkward, saying one thing but meaning another. A stubborn person needs a patient lover. But I truly feel exhausted, and I don't want to yield anymore. All these years of Cold Wars, arguments, and avoidance have left me too weary to distinguish whether he's genuinely conflicted or simply doesn't love me anymore. So when he threatened me with a breakup again, I said, then let's break up. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Hearing me say this, Tobin was visibly stunned, but I just kept my head down. My voice continuing, I'll pack up my things and take them away as soon as possible. As for the other things we bought together, forget about them. You can keep them all. As for the clothes you left at my place, if possible, please come and get them as soon as you can, or I can call a courier to send it to you. In the quiet room, only my voice could be heard. Tobin's expression gradually changed from gloomy to completely blank. He suddenly interrupted me. What about the pudding? How to divide it? Pudding is a stray cat I picked up at the entrance of the neighborhood. I adopted it and covered all its expenses. But it's not close to me. 8 out of 10 times it won't let me hold it. Several times it even scratched my wrist. On the contrary, Tobin, who usually ignored it and never paid any attention, yet it would actively rub against him, meowing affectionately to seek attention. Leave it for you too. I let out a sigh. No matter how much one likes it, such differential treatment can still chill the heart. Surely, Tobin suppressed his anger. Clearly it was you who missed Valentine's Day, and now you're the one throwing a tantrum. But wasn't it Tobin who brought up breaking up first? Perhaps he forgot. After all, he's always had the word break up on the tip of his tongue. Because this threat worked on me, it became his go-to tool. I told you, my flight was delayed. That's why I got back late. Tobin just sneered. Excuses. Then why couldn't you book an earlier flight? I worked non-stop for over 10 hours to compress my workload during this business trip. Only then did I manage to catch the flight back the same day. But Tobin wouldn't listen. He'd find 100 more reasons to blame me. So I stayed silent, feeling only a deep sense of helplessness growing inside me. Tobin took a few steps toward the door, then turned back with a cold tone. I won't return until you realize your mistake. I said, we've already broken up. But Tobin seemed not to hear my words. He tilted his head and continued on his own. I'll give you one more chance. I'm not just angry because you were late. This was the first time he had said something like this. Normally, he would have just slammed the door and left. Although his tone was still stiff. Come find me to apologize when you've thought it through. I sat on the sofa for a long time. Only then did I drag my exhausted body to clean up the living room and retrieve the gift from the trash bin again. This is a gift I carefully selected after visiting over a dozen stores abroad. Yet its owner didn't even glance at it, nor did they cherish it. So, like the mess scattered across the floor, it became worthless. After tidying up the living room, I went to the bedroom to sort through my belongings. This is Tobin's home. The entire house is filled with traces of my existence. The mugs we picked out together, the blankets, the couple's dinnerware. I only packed a few clothes before walking out with my suitcase. As I reached the doorway, a yellow figure suddenly dashed out, as if to block me. Pudding lay motionless right in the center of the living room, a pair of round, gleaming eyes fixed tightly on me. When I first picked it up, it was dirty and skinny, appearing malnourished. Its fur is now fluffy and glossy, looking very endearing. I crouched down, and this time Pudding acted unusually by not refusing my touch. I patted its head. I'm leaving. He'll take care of you from now on. Pudding should be pleased with this outcome. After all, it has always adored Tobin, unlike me, who never receives its affection. I pried Pudding's claws off my pant leg where it was clinging stubbornly, ignoring its noisy meowing. I left with my suitcase. As I reached the neighborhood gate, I received a phone call. It was Tobin's friend calling, his tone full of reproach. Shirley, why did you argue with Tobin again? He's drinking now, and no one can stop him. Hurry up and come over. Take him away. He's about to wreck my shop. I felt somewhat powerless. I don't know why he's angry. The moment he came in, he just flipped the table over. There was a pause on the other end of the line, followed by a tone of surprise. You didn't know. He found out you had dinner with another man, and that man even drove you back to the hotel. Tobin is jealous. I explained. That was a client. We had dinner strictly for business. He gave me a ride because it was raining that day, and I couldn't get a taxi. So this is Tobin's real reason for being upset. Tobin has always been like this. I get jealous and angry when I talk to others for just a few more words. I know it's because he loves me. So he feels possessive. But now, all I feel is exhaustion. I can explain everything. I just don't understand. I spoke softly into the phone. Why would he rather tell you everything than ask me? I once asked my best friend what she does when she argues with her boyfriend. My best friend thought for a moment and said, "It depends on who's right and who's wrong. Once both of you calm down, just talk it out and everything will be fine." But Tobin wouldn't. He keeps everything bottled up inside. I never knew why he was angry. Every time I had to guess or ask his friends. I couldn't understand why he refused to communicate with me. Nor could I understand why he preferred confiding in friends rather than asking me directly. Later, I learned a word called contradictory. Tobin is the most contradictory person I've ever met. His personality is sensitive and unpredictable. He always avoids and retreats, testing me with cold words. Everyone says stubborn people aren't suited for relationships. Only I didn't believe it, charging forward with a heart full of passion. But now I'm lost. If between two people, only one is ever the one who takes initiative, can this relationship really last? I moved back to my own home. Though we don't see each other in daily life, we still meet at work. We work at the same research institute, but in different departments. During the handover of work, I noticed Tobin accompanied by a young girl. The girl had a pure and fresh demeanor. A newly hired postgraduate this year named Jocelyn. Tobin's eyes lit up the moment he saw me. But I didn't look at him, just calmly proceeded with the work handover. Then Tobin's gentle expression instantly turned cold. Without even glancing sideways, he brushed past me without a word. I heard Jocelyn ask curiously with gossipy interest, "Tobin, how did you get such a big scar on your arm?" I was really startled when I first saw it. Someone answered, "You're new here, so you wouldn't know. Are Tobin and the Shirley next door. They're a couple, famous as a match made in heaven." That scar is from an earthquake drill when Tobin carried Shirley on his back and got injured. Rumor has it that because of this scar, he couldn't become a pilot. So Tobin switched majors and later joined our research institute. Jocelyn gazed with envy. So touching. Truly a match made in heaven. Everyone's gossipy hearts instantly ignited. From Tobin giving up his dreams for me to him applying to graduate school for me. Everyone was praising Tobin's devotion, while also expressing their envy of me. The Cold War of the past few days had now turned into a couple's playful banter. I bet it's Shirley who apologizes first again this time. Last time she treated us to milk tea. What's it gonna be this time? I'm craving some cake. I disagree. That's cheating. When hasn't it been Shirley who backs down first? If you bet on Tobin apologizing, then I'll take that wager. I stood in the corner, silently listening to everyone's laughter. But this time, they were all wrong. I've already broken up with Tobin, so please don't bring it up again in the future. My arrival put an end to the discussion. Everyone exchanged glances and quickly dispersed. In truth, our relationship is far from as perfect as it appears to others. Repeated cold wars and arguments have long since, unknowingly, left it riddled with scars, teetering on the edge. I can't help but wonder, what will happen when I stop mending it? When I no longer strive to salvage it? Tobin, you'll find out. Will it be redeemed? This time, will you come to apologize to me first? A whole month has passed. Me and Tobin were like strangers, as if in a contest. Neither was willing to back down first. Meanwhile, Jocelyn and Tobin were growing closer. They ate together and left work together. Even during weekend team-building activities, Tobin chose to be in her group for hiking. Instead, Jocelyn hesitated. "This doesn't seem right. Surely what should we do?" Tobin said coldly, "Didn't we break up? Why should I care about her?" He didn't lower his voice, and everyone around could hear. "And she enjoys dining with other men so much. Surely hiking would be no different." Instantly, the looks from those around me changed, with some whispering among themselves, "Tobin is such a good boyfriend, yet she doesn't cherish him and still flirts with others. No wonder Tobin broke up with her." Seeing me approach, the gossipers quickly dispersed. On the way up the mountain, Jocelyn sprained her ankle. Tobin immediately crouched down without a word and carried her on his back. Jocelyn said guiltily, "I'm sorry, I've made us come in last." Tobin comforted her gently. "It's okay. We're just here to relax. The ranking doesn't matter." I lagged a bit further behind them. This time, the number of people who came was odd, and everyone had already chosen their partners. I didn't want to break up others, So I simply formed a group by myself. I've always had poor stamina. And by now, I was already a bit out of breath. The two people ahead were getting along harmoniously. I also heard someone praise Tobin for being responsible. Tobin is indeed a very responsible person. He is polite and gentlemanly to everyone. Except me. In college, he was the class monitor during an earthquake drill. Everyone rushed out. Only he ran towards me, carrying me on his back as I had sprained my ankle a few days earlier. This incident became the talk of the campus, and everyone envied my good fortune. But at that time Tobin was actually scolding me. Do you know how troublesome you are? If you've sprained your ankle, can't you just skip class? This time you've dragged our class down to last place again. Surely, you really are more of a hindrance than a help. I actually wanted to say that I had asked the teacher for leave and didn't need to participate in the drill. But hearing his harsh words, I didn't want to argue back and make him angrier. Later his friend told me, Tobin was saying one thing but meaning another. He was worried about my foot injury and wanted me to rest at home. And later, I specifically sought out an old Chinese doctor to prescribe medicine for me. He earns 100 yuan a day from his part-time job, but an 80 yuan patch. He didn't hesitate and bought a 2-week supply. My best friend also envied me. He's just awkward, but he truly loves you. This tsundere personality is the best to adore. But now, I see Tobin comforting Jocelyn. I just realized it's not that he doesn't know how to be gentle. It's just that he isn't gentle with me. I can feel his love for me through other people's words. But I've never felt it from his attitude. He always speaks harshly to me and gives me cold looks, calling me stupid, calling me frivolous, cutting up the scarf someone gave me, smashing the game console a colleague lent me. I thought he was just jealous, just cared too much. So after being pushed away time and again, after every attempt to communicate was rejected, I keep coaxing myself, then continue to take the initiative with enthusiasm, tirelessly apologizing and lowering my head. But enthusiasm also needs to be reciprocated. In this relationship, I'm not invulnerable. I also feel wronged and sad. The appearance of being awkward and not showing affection are so similar. I'm already too sad to tell the difference. Tobin is genuinely awkward, or just doesn't love me anymore. So, I stopped in my tracks and withdrew from this team-building event. I sent a message to my boss saying I wasn't feeling well. After returning home, I sorted out Tobin's belongings, along with all the gifts he had given me over the years. I packed them up. I called a courier and sent them to his house. After finishing everything, I sat on the sofa in a daze for a while. Then I picked up my phone and sent Tobin a text message. Just 3 short words. Let's break up. Last time was just out of anger. I still fantasized that he would take the initiative to reconcile with me. But this time it's real. I really want to break up with him. The message didn't get sent. I forgot. Tobin blocked me again. He always does this whenever we're in a cold war. Deletes all my contact info. I pursed my lips and asked his friend to relay the message. I used to always complain Tobin for using friends as messengers. Never thought I'd end up needing to do the same thing now. While texting on iMessage, I accidentally clicked into his friend's moments. The latest post was a large group photo with the beach in the background. Right in the center of the photo were Tobin and Jocelyn. Jocelyn was smiling happily, her arm draped over Tobin's back. Tobin also looked relaxed. It was posted a week ago. It was during Tobin's Cold War with me. I stared at it for a long time before giving it a like. Before, Tobin was busy with work. He said traveling is an economic lie, a product of consumerism. The places you want to visit are just scenes the locals have long grown tired of. I accommodated him and never went out either. But now, I suddenly feel like going out for a walk. Perhaps I've long become Tobin, the person he's already tired of in his eyes. So when younger and prettier girls appeared, that's why he started arguing with me and giving me the cold shoulder. Some say love is when he's indifferent to others but gentle with you. Yet Tobin is the exact opposite. He's Jocelyn kind and encouraging, but only speaks coldly to me. It was my lack of awareness that failed to notice his annoyance. I took annual leave and booked a flight to City L. The scenery here is beautiful, and there's plenty of delicious food. While chatting, I asked the old lady if she ever got tired of living here since childhood. The old lady chuckled warmly. This is home. With my hometown developing so well, I feel nothing but pride. How could I ever be tired of it? She said she loves City L, loves her hometown. It suddenly dawned on me that everyone might gaze upon a single landscape for a long time. But it turns out that with love, there's no room for weariness. I never expected that on the 3rd day, I would receive Tobin's call. I don't know when, but he had taken me off his blacklist. His tone was stiff. Pudding's cat food is finished. I don't know which kind to buy. I told him the brand name and added, "You can just use the photo recognition feature like before. No need to ask me." Tobin avoided answering. I threw away the packaging. He asked again, "What should I do if Pudding broke the cat tree?" "Then buy a new one." Pudding just went downstairs to play and rolled in the mud. "Take him to the pet store for a bath." Tobin asked many questions, and I answered them one by one. Suddenly, there was an awkward silence between us. After waiting for a while without him continuing, I spoke up. "Then I'll hang up. You can search online for cat care tips. Don't ask me anymore in the future." There was silence on the other end. Just before the call ended, Tobin finally said, "Pudding misses you. Would you come back to see it?" I didn't quite believe those words. Due to the nature of our jobs, Tobin and I often traveled for work. Tobin every time I come back. Pudding waits by the door in advance. Upon seeing me, it joyfully rushes over meowing. But I'm not like that. I have to go find it myself. I miss it dearly during business trips. But Pudding still acts aloof toward me, avoiding me, only barely letting me hold you by tempting with cat treats. "You never missed me before. Why would you now?" I declined. "No need. That's your cat. It wouldn't be right for me to visit." After hanging up the phone, I let out a long sigh. I don't understand Tobin's reason for calling. Did he genuinely want to ask me something? Or did he think Pudding was being a bother? Then again, he's always been disciplined, composed, and meticulous. Taking care of a creature like a cat was too difficult and troublesome for him. Until the early hours of the morning, I was still tossing and turning. I picked up my phone and tried to send a text message. "If you find Pudding troublesome, just return him to me. I'm afraid Tobin will lose patience." Which wouldn't be good for Pudding. What if he really gets fed up and throws Pudding away? Then it's better for me to take care of it. Even if Pudding doesn't like me, I'll take responsibility and ensure its well-being. It's already 3 o'clock. I didn't expect them to reply instantly. "You want the Pudding. Even if you leave, you'd take it with you." I haven't replied yet, and already received another message. What about me then? But the next second, the message was retracted, and I wondered if I was seeing things. After a while, Tobin sent another message. "Send me your location. I'll bring Pudding to you." In the coffee shop, Tobin held Pudding in his arms. He looked travel-worn, with faint dark circles under his eyes. I hadn't expected him to arrive so quickly. Doing the math, he must have booked the earliest flight right after sending the text message. Pudding struggled desperately the moment she saw me. Once put down, she immediately rushed to squat by my feet. It's rare for her to give me the same treatment as Tobin. She meowed coquettishly at me, but this time I just opened the cat carrier. I didn't pick it up in my arms. There were 3 or 4 scratches it left on my arm. The scars wouldn't fade, and neither would my sadness. After picking up Pudding, I was ready to leave. Tobin called out to stop me. He pursed his lips. "Someone told me that the person you met during your last business trip was just a client. I lost my temper with you without understanding the situation, and that friend's post you liked. It was just a coincidence that we ran into Jocelyn when a friend took me out to relax. So we took a group photo together." I stopped and listened quietly to Tobin's words. He might have thought I misunderstood his relationship with Jocelyn, which led to the breakup. But in reality, it wasn't the case. Before Jocelyn appeared, our relationship had already become unsustainable. Tobin, after several attempts, finally managed to say with difficulty, "I'm sorry. It was my fault during our last argument." After speaking, his entire face turned red, stiffening his neck. He didn't even dare to look at me, appearing utterly humiliated. So I asked him, "Tobin, is apologizing to me such a shameful thing? Why is it, Tobin, so hard to say? So embarrassing. If apologizing feels humiliating, if bowing your head means admitting defeat, what was I, who always chose to apologize and make up first before that?" Tobin had reddened eyes. "I thought you knew I was just being stubborn. Ever since that day, I've been waiting to make up with you. I didn't mean to break up. I just wanted you to comfort me." With trembling fingers, he pulled out a gift box from his pocket. "I've also prepared a gift for you. It's that necklace you love the most." Tobin choked up. "How dare you make the breakup final just because you said so? Without any mercy. 7 years of love, and you left so decisively, taking only Pudding but not me. I feel so exhausted. I just can't get through to Tobin clearly. He thinks my talk of breaking up is just angry words too, because that's how he is himself. But hurtful words repeated often enough become reality." I said, The reason for breaking up isn't anything else. It's just your personality. Always refusing to communicate. Always being difficult. Always avoiding problems. Tobin clenched his fist, accusing me. All these are just excuses in the end. Simply because you don't love me enough. You want to give up on me. Give up on our relationship. Tobin repeated, word by word, his eyes red. Surely, you don't love me enough. 7 years of pursuit. 7 years of taking the initiative. In the end, all I got in return was the accusation of not loving enough. I retorted to Tobin, what about you? Have you changed anything out of love for me? I knew his stubbornness, his sensitivity, his constant fear of loss. So I've always been careful to maintain it. I never dared to say, break up, in a fit of anger. Because I knew that once those words were spoken, with Tobin's pride, he would never back down, and then we'd be completely over. But he could act with impunity because I would always give in. I've always tried to be a patient lover who can't be driven away. But this kind of relationship is too exhausting. I took 100 steps toward Tobin, but he couldn't even bear to look back. In the end, even my love will wear thin, bearing the accusation of not loving enough. I no longer wish to persist. Both of us end up battered and bruised. The one who loves you most knows best how to wound you with words. So I retorted to Tobin, enunciating each word deliberately. Tobin, no one can stand you. And no one will ever love you. You don't deserve to be loved by anyone. After the trip ended, I applied for a transfer at the institute. Transferred to City SS Research Institute. The equipment there is more advanced, offering me the best opportunities for growth. When leaving, Jocelyn approached hesitantly. Shirley, I'm sorry. Last time, I really just happened to meet Tobin. The teacher had been in a bad mood during that period, so he went to the seaside to relax. I glanced at her and then lowered my head again. No need to apologize to me. Tobin should be the one apologizing to you. The young girl was still too naive to realize how obvious the admiration in her eyes was. Tobin had actually been getting close to her somewhat intentionally. Tobin is a person with misophobia. This includes emotions. I've never doubted his devotion and loyalty. I know he wanted to make me jealous and force me to reach out to him. This is a tactic only he would dare to use. During the Cold War, I also tried to make him jealous. I was full of anticipation, thinking it would give him a sense of crisis and stop him from yelling at me. But it didn't. Tobin threw all my belongings out the door. He completely ignored me, even going so far as to have all his friends block me. It was then that I realized this tactic was useless against him. If I took a step back, he would retreat 100 steps. Between us, it took one side clinging desperately to keep the connection alive. And that person has always been me. After coming to City S, I made some new friends. During holidays, we would make plans to go bungee jumping and skiing together. I can't even remember how long it's been since I last tried such extreme sports. I used to be optimistic and confident. I was always an active participant in various school activities. Later, Tobin hid my passport and ID card. He frowned, speaking in a displeased tone. Shirley, can you stop bouncing around like a monkey? A friend advised me. Don't you know him yet? He says one thing but means another. He's clearly worried about your safety. Afraid something might happen to you. You know how it is with these extreme sports. They're always prone to accidents. If he didn't care about you, he wouldn't bother. I was convinced. From then on, I left all group chats and quit all extreme sports. But now, I'm skiing with a gentle breeze, watching the sunset. My friends screamed and praised me. Shirley, you're amazing. This is professional level skill. You could even be an athlete. Everyone squeezed together, chatting and playing boisterously. Even if there was some unpleasantness, after sharing a meal, they'd stick together again, laughing and joking around. No matter who you are, just say what you want to do directly. How long has it been since you last heard praise? Since you felt this relaxed? I was also infected by this mood. I smiled, exhaling the gloom in my heart. I never thought I'd meet Tobin again. He was standing alone at the entrance of the neighborhood. I don't know how long he had been there, but his face was pale from the cold. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up. He walked quickly up to me, then gradually came to a stop. He saw the snowboard on my back and immediately became unhappy. How many times have I told you not to go snowboarding? Do you know how many people become disabled from accidents every year? Do you also want to end up in a wheelchair? Being taken care of like a useless person every day. Can't you behave when I'm not around to watch you? He snatched my snowboard and slammed it onto the ground. The snowboard cracked from the impact, drawing surprised glances from passers-by. Perhaps Tobin's actions were too terrifying. A kind passerby approached, eyeing him warily, and said, "Don't be afraid, miss. Stand behind me. I'm a veteran. I'll protect you." It's unclear which word provoked Tobin, but he suddenly roared in anger. "What's it to you? Who do you think you are? Acting crazy like this? You think you're worthy of protecting her?" The two were almost about to fight when the crowd around them pulled them apart. I shook my head apologetically at the older man. "Thank you, but I'll handle this myself." I picked up my phone, looked at Tobin, and spoke calmly. "I've already called the police." "Tobin, you're the one who's gone mad." At the police station, I sat face to face with Tobin, neither of us speaking first. The staff member persuaded with a chuckle. "Young couples have their squabbles. It's just a domestic matter. No need to file a report. Hurry home and sort it out." He then looked at Tobin. "You two, try to comfort your girlfriend more. Why argue with a girl?" I interrupted the staff member. "We're not a couple, and this isn't a family matter. I'm filing a report as an ordinary citizen, accusing him of damaging personal property. I don't understand why all conflicts and harms, just because they're labeled as boyfriend-girlfriend relationships, they're categorized as domestic affairs. As long as the other person is a husband or a boyfriend, then harm is no longer harm. So major issues can be minimized and minor ones dismissed. Conflicts between strangers can be reported to the authorities and brought to trial. Why should boyfriends, girlfriends, and spouses get a reduced sentence, turning it into mediation?" The staff member's expression turned awkward from my words, eventually becoming expressionless. They set aside the jokes and proceeded with the procedure meticulously. Tobin paid the fine and compensated for my financial loss. Finally, he also wrote a written guarantee. Before leaving the police station, he turned back to shake hands with the staff. "Sorry for the trouble I've caused you." I watched coldly. Tobin is just that kind of person. It's not that he doesn't know how to apologize. He's always polite in front of others. But for me, lowering his head seems so hard to say. Those closest to him were the ones he hurt the most. I quickened my pace and walked ahead. But Tobin wasn't giving up and chased after me closely. "Shirley, can we talk?" I kept walking. "We can talk. But after this, don't appear in front of me again. Can you do that?" Tobin paused for a moment and said okay. We found a nearby shop. After entering, I ordered an iced Americano. Tobin instinctively stopped me. "You're drinking iced coffee in winter. Waiter, change it to a hot latte." I gave him a cold look. Tobin froze. He pursed his lips and said nothing more. After sitting down, I got straight to the point. "All right, what do you want to talk about?" Tobin froze, trying to keep his expression gentle. "I've thought a lot after going back. And you're right. The issue between us is the lack of honesty. I haven't made any fundamental mistakes. I just struggle with communication, and I can work on that." He looked at me cautiously. "Shirley, I'll try my best to change. Can we not break up?" I've waited 7 years for this sentence. Finally waited for Tobin to say it. "But it's too late now," I said. "No good." Tobin's eyes instantly filled with panic. He seemed to have thought of something and hurriedly rolled up his sleeve to show me his arm. The scar on his arm is proof that he gave up his dreams for me. It is Tobin's greatest reliance and also his biggest trump card. Every time he reveals it, I fall silent and begin to yield. But this time I didn't move. After a long while, I finally whispered softly, "Tobin, even without this scar, you wouldn't have been able to become a pilot, right?" I only found out recently. Tobin's father had once been to prison and had a criminal record. Whether there's this scar or not, Tobin could never pass the political vetting. But he kept it from me all along, never letting me know. Do you know? Carrying someone else's dream is an exhausting burden. Tobin, because I couldn't become a pilot, has since stood on moral high ground. Everyone keeps telling me to be tolerant and accommodating towards him. Out of guilt, I've been enduring all his bad temper. Whenever I doubt this relationship, someone would bring this up to blame me. He gave up his dreams for you, and you still say he doesn't love you. Shirley, don't be so unreasonable. Over time, even I came to believe Tobin's love. Tobin spoke anxiously. "You know, my family was bad. My parents didn't love me. You're my first love. I've never loved anyone. I don't know how to love someone. Then why don't you learn how to?" I'm a bit emotionally out of control. My voice choked up. "So I deserve to be deceived by you. Deserve to be played around like a fool. Tobin, did you deceive me because I'm stupid?" Tobin quickly retorted. "No." He raised his head, and I could almost see tears welling up in his eyes. He whispered, It's inferiority. Because of inferiority, there's sensitivity. Because of inferiority, there's rudeness. And because of a lack of love, one cannot love others. So they waver between hope and fear. So they test repeatedly, afraid that I would leave him. So he used guilt to bind me tightly by his side. But these are all excuses. Why is meanness a flaw? But being contradictory isn't. The harm they cause to others is the same. Just because one lacks love doesn't mean they can hurt others. Stop making excuses for yourself. You're selfish and cold-hearted. That's why you know it in your heart but refuse to change. I threw Tobin's own words right back at him. Tobin, you didn't love me enough. After that day, I really never saw Tobin again. It seemed he kept his promise and truly never appeared before me again. I carried on with my work as usual. In my free time, I participated in various competitions. During a marathon race, I was intentionally knocked down by someone, and I reported it to the referee, who disqualified him from the race. That person held a grudge and, on my way home from work, deliberately hit me with a motorcycle to teach me a lesson. I had already noticed something was wrong when that car started following me, but it was too late. I couldn't shake it off. 1 second before the collision, someone yanked me away hard. A muffled groan sounded, and suddenly there was Tobin, whom I hadn't seen in ages. He shielded me behind him, but his own arm was fractured in the collision. He seemed to notice me looking at him. Tobin turned his face away. Due to the pain, fine beads of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. He forced a smile to comfort me. Don't be afraid. Inside the hospital, the doctor was treating Tobin, and I stood by. After everyone had left, I spoke. I've already called the police. They'll contact you later, and the medical expenses along with other damages will be compensated. I put down the fruit basket and prepared to leave. Tobin called out to me. What about you? He stammered. I saved you. Don't you have anything else to say? I paused, my voice turning cold. Are you trying to use favors to pressure me again? What is it this time? Asking me to get back together. Tobin turned pale instantly, his tone anxious. Surely, that's not what I meant. I just wanted to talk to you more. I let out a sigh and relaxed a little. Good then. My relaxation seemed to sting Tobin. He looked at me for a long time, his tone bitter. Have I already become this kind of person in your heart? Even saving you. You think it's just an act. I didn't speak, but my silence told Tobin the answer. Everything that happens leaves traces behind. Tobin had deceived me before, with everything appearing fine on the surface. But after that, whenever he did something similar again, I couldn't bring myself to trust him anymore. I will doubt. I will hesitate. I will waver. Once a crack appears in a relationship, it can never return to what it was before. When trust collapses, it's like spilt water that cannot be gathered back. Noisy arguments could be heard from outside the corridor, but the ward was extremely quiet, as if existing in two separate worlds. Tobin took a deep breath. Surely, I came this time just to say goodbye to you. Actually, I could vaguely sense there was something wrong with my personality, but I couldn't swallow my pride and wasn't willing to face it seriously. I'll be transferred to work in the U.S. next month. There, I'll see a psychiatrist, seriously undergo treatment, and strive to correct my shortcomings. Tobin's fingers were trembling as he tried hard to control them, but after several attempts, he failed. He looked at me, his eyes filled with anticipation, just like a child, showing stubbornness. Surely, if I truly change for the better and learn how to love properly, would you give me another chance? It's hard for me to describe how I feel right now. I once firmly believed that two people who liked each other would never drift apart. I once fantasized about an everlasting love with Tobin. There was no betrayal, no infidelity, and no third party between us. Yet in the end, we still drifted apart. It turns out that even affection can be exhausted. On this utterly ordinary day, Tobin asked if I'd be willing to give him another chance. I heard myself say, no more. Let it go. Mutual pursuit is the hardest thing in the world. While I was chasing Tobin, he never looked back, and when he finally came running towards me, I had already gathered enough disappointment to leave. The affection was real before, but the love is truly gone now. So let it go, and end it. Outside the hospital, I met a friend who came to visit Tobin. His friends seemed somewhat awkward when they saw me. I nodded coldly and wanted to leave, but was stopped. The leader hesitated a few times before stepping forward. Surely, why did you delete all of our contact information? I turned my head away. Tobin and I have already broken up. The person protested. You broke up with him? But we can still be friends, right? Others also gathered around, chattering complaints mixed with a hint of grievance. They only quieted down after noticing my prolonged silence. I spoke, my voice faint. Friends, do you really consider me a friend? Then why do you always only speak up for Tobin? The person froze for a moment, then gave an awkward laugh. Wasn't that for the sake of reconciling you two? Or should we have advised you to break up instead? These people were Tobin's friends, already biased in their hearts. Everyone was siding with Tobin, making excuses for him. No one saw my grievances, and they seemed insignificant. So, when they said we were friends, I just found it laughable. There's no need to stay in touch anymore. It's pointless. With that, I no longer wanted anything to do with them and turned to leave. Heard again Tobin's news. It was a year later. I went on a business trip to the United States and ran into him on the street. He was alone, staring blankly at a stray cat by the roadside. Shirley, how is Pudding doing? Since I took Pudding away, it didn't know why. It became affectionate towards me, unlike its usual aloofness. The scars on my arm from its scratches, slowly falling away with the passage of time, then recovering again. Good. You've gained a little more weight. That's good. After a few words, the conversation between the two of them died down again. I glanced at my watch, not wanting to waste any more time here. Mr. Tobin, I have something to attend to, so I'll take my leave first. After giving a polite nod, I picked up my bag and prepared to leave. Tobin stopped me. He tugged at the corner of his mouth, trying to force a smile. Shirley, how do you think I look now? He even spun around, stepping back to let me get a better look. I thought for a moment. You look quite good too. Once upon a time, Tobin would wear a cold expression no matter who he was dealing with. Beneath the surface politeness lay genuine detachment. But just now, as he passed by the stall, he naturally bent down to pick up the fallen oranges. When someone bumped into him, he gently said it was fine. Unlike before, when he would look at them with disdain, it seems to have gained a touch of human warmth. I never thought psychotherapy could actually be effective. Tobin stammered hesitantly. Now that I've improved, and I still love you, could you? Then I wish Mr. Tobin becomes better and meets better people. I interrupted him. Tobin turned pale instantly. As for the other things we bought together, forget about them. You can keep them all. The afterglow of sunset spread across the land. Warm light falls upon everyone. I no longer have to guess Tobin's obscurity. He became bold and brave, without hesitation, willing to openly express his love and his persistence. But no one will stay in the same place, waiting forever. Tobin will improve, but I'll become even better. Withered trees sprout new buds, and after the sunset, tomorrow brings a new blazing sun. It took me a long time to understand. Taking initiative is a kind of talent, a very rare talent. I will strive for a better future, and I will have a better life.